So in day 2, we're going to be simplifying radicals after we multiply or divide. Now remember that we can only multiply or divide if they have the same index. So when the expression contains a radical in the denominator, we also must rationalize that. So rewriting the expression so that the denominator does not contain a radical. So let's take a look at number 1. They do both have the index of 3. So let's write that in there up here. Remember to multiply. They must have the same index. So these both have the same index, so cube root, and then we will add the exponent of the variables when we multiply, so it's x to the 13th. And then if there were coefficients, we would multiply those, but we'll add the exponents of the variables. So we now have how many pairs of 3's? So let's see, we're going to have 3, 6, 9, 12 with 1 left over. And so we can take these 4 out. And we are left with 1 underneath. And so it's x to the 4th. With 1 left under the cube root. So on the next one, they are both to the 4th root or index of 4, so we can go ahead and multiply the 2 times the 8 to get 16, and then add x to the 8th, x to the 4th to get x to the 12th. And then for 16, 2 times 8, 2 times 4, and 2 times 2, and so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 2's, and so that is going to give us 2 to the 4th, and then we have x to the 4th, x to the 4th, x to the 4th, and so everything it looks like is going to get to come out of this one. So a 2, an x, an x, and an x, so 2x to the 3rd. All right, if you want to go ahead and try number 3 and then push play to check when you're ready. Since they are both the square root, we can go ahead and multiply. So 32x to the 5th, y to the 5th, and then 32 can get broken down. 2 times 16, 2 and 8, and then 2 and 4, and then 2 and 2, and so we have 1, 2, there's a pair, 1, 2, there's a pair, and then 1 left over, and so we have 2 squared times 2 squared times 2, and then we have x squared, and an x to make 5, and same thing with our y's, y squared, y, all underneath, and so a 2 comes out. Whoops. My pen likes to scroll instead of write. And then another 2 can come out, and then an x, and then an x, and then a y, and then a y. And then what we have left underneath there is a 2, an x, and a y. And so we end up with a 4x squared y squared, and then the square root of 2xy. So on number 4, they are both the same because when it's written like that, the 3 on the bottom means the cube root. So they do have the same index. So we can go ahead and multiply 9 times 3 to get 27. R to the 2nd, R to the 3rd is R to the 5th. S to the 3rd, S to the 4th is S to the 7th. And so it's the cube root. So we're going to take 27, and it's 3 times 9. Which 9 is 3 times 3. So we do have 3 to the 3rd, r to the third, r to the second, s to the third, s to the third, and s to add up to 7. And so we can take the 3 out, we can take the r out. R squared stays under, s cubed can come out, s, and then s, and then the r, s to the first stays under. And so we have 3r s squared and the cube root of r squared s. So now, looking at number 5, we want to simplify, see if we can reduce our fraction first, and then we will so let's see, check to see if you can simplify or reduce our fraction. So 32 can't simplify, but x to the 7th over x to the 2nd can subtract. So we'll simplify the coefficients and then subtract the exponents. So simplify, goodness, this pen. The coefficients, subtract exponents of the same variable. All right, so square root of 32x to the 5th when we subtract, and then we do what we just did on the previous examples. Now 32 we can break down as 2 and 16. And 2 and 4. And 4 is 2 and 2. So we're looking for pairs. There's 1, there's 2 with a 2 left over. And so it is 2 squared, and a 2. And then x to the 2nd, x to the 2nd, and an x. And so square root, pull the 2 out, leave a 2 under, pull an x out, and leave that x under. And so 2 times 2, there is 4, and x squared, and 2x stays under. All right, go ahead and try that last one if you would like. They're both square roots because that's all that means with that 1/2 is just that it's a square root. And then simplify vertically the fraction and simplify vertically by subtracting the exponents, and then simplify after that if possible. If you want to follow along, you can. If you're not quite sure. So this just means the square root, right? Same thing as square root. So 54 over 3 reduces to 18, or divides. And then x to the 3rd minus x to the 1st is x squared. Y to the 3rd minus y to the 2nd is just y. So we're looking for index of 2. So 2 and 9, 3 and 3. So it looks like our only one is going to be 3 squared with a 2. And then the x squared and then the y. And so we can take out the 3 and the x, and the 2 and the y stay under.